is Geoff Dabelko, Environmental Change and Security Program, the Woodrow Wilson Center. I'm in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, at a conference on population health and environment, integrated development for East Africa. And some colleagues and I are running a simulation, a game that's a role-playing scenario where we have different teams negotiating out a variety of competing interests. We have the private sector advancing an agro-business, cut flowers, export industry, and hotels for tourism. We have a civil society that's much more concerned about the poor conditions in our fictitious country of Arborlind. We have a government that wants to have it both ways in terms of taking care of its people, but also working with the private sector. And then we have an external donor that really just wants to pay money for biodiversity and doesn't really care much about the socioeconomic conditions. This is a tool that we use for getting people to walk in other people's shoes, understand different perspectives, understand how sometimes the integration of approaches around pop environment and health can help solve problems and bring different things to the table that meet multiple interests and actually allow for compromise. It's also put on the backdrop, the scenario is put on the backdrop of concerns about tensions becoming more conflictual and actually becoming violence in the context of some of this kind of poverty-based grievances. For example, the forced movement of people out of parks into other areas, which is part of our scenario. There is that lingering threat of instability that part of objective of the teams today is to negotiate their way out of that. So it's something that we're doing here at the Wilson Center to try to find some innovative mechanisms in parts of the world that have all these both threats but also opportunities to move forward on the PHE front. These scenario negotiations were quite lively. I want to share a little of the audio, give you a taste of what it's like. You're going to first hear Salu Haile, who's with Packard Foundation in Ethiopia, playing the role of NGO, civil society, that are really in some tough negotiations with the private sector. Then in a later clip, you'll hear Joanne Castro, who's with PATH Philippines. Joanne has been integral to a quite developed PHE program in the Philippines, the IPOP Corn program. She came literally around the world to come join this conference to share her insights from a program that's been going on now for some years. She's playing the government role and is trying to balance multiple objectives and certainly lots of people pitching their case to the government.
For your flowers to be exported without any problem, what guarantee do we have that you'll keep your promises?
As a governor, what we just planned or what we suggest.
Well, tell him to get out first. To get out of this country, he has no business to tell us what to do.
No, let me just say something about your. What we need is we need to just
meet the needs of the government. As a result of just this rehabilitation program, both the local and the government will benefit. As a result of the creating job opportunities, we believe that the local communities and the government by itself benefit from this. As a result, we are just meeting our goals.
And we want a better Arborlind in the future. So, what are the things? Yes, I think that we need to, as part of government, I think we need to look at it more, discuss it more. I think it's better for us to talk separately, and then I need to talk to you separately.
So we at the Wilson Center are going to continue to work on these issues, both using the simulation as a tool, as an exercise, but also really focusing on these pop, health, environment, and security linkages in East Africa, but also in other parts of the world, so that we can learn about how the lessons progress in one area and apply them to another. I must say, just on a personal note, going out and seeing some of these field sites and meeting and talking with and learning from the people on the front lines of these issues really is quite an inspiration. We get cynical about these kinds of things just reading reports and having conversations in national capitals. It really is both the privilege of working at the center, but working on these issues to go out and speak with these people who really put their heart and soul into these issues and are really making a difference in the field.
This has been a podcast from the Environmental Change and Security Program at the Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars. If you would like to know more about the linkages between population, health, and environment, visit us on the web at www.wilsoncenter.org/ECSP or at our blog at newsecuritybeat.blogspot.com.